And I give the call to the member for Dawson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Philosopher Hannah Arendt, one of the greatest thinkers of our time, said, "As citizens we must prevent wrongdoing because the world in which we all live, wrongdoer, wrong sufferer and spectator, is at stake." That is why I want to talk about the harmful impacts of vaccine mandates. Now, I've received over 100,000 emails about vaccine mandates. Some from people who have lost their jobs, some who are vaccinated but are wanting to register their opposition to governments forcing other people to be vaccinated. Contrary to the mainstream media line, the vast majority of people opposing such mandates are not anti-vaxxers. They are people who have had adverse reactions, who've suffered vaccine injury, or who have lost their jobs and as a result lost their families, or have watched their friends, family members and colleagues suffer as a result of those mandates. They are hard-working Aussies who do not believe anyone should be forced to get the jab in order to work or to access basic and essential services, let alone be ostracised from the wider community. People from all over the country have contacted my office to tell me about their stories. These are real people who are scared and suffering. They're police officers, nurses, doctors, paramedics, teachers, miners, small business owners, mums and dads. They are your sisters, your brothers, your neighbours and your family members. And I want to give them a voice in this chamber. One of my constituents from Mackay is pregnant. She has now lost a job due to a workplace vaccine mandate and is in significant distress because, she says, she can't access doctors' and midwives' appointments in person because she's unvaccinated. She is not anti-vaccination. She just wants to be sure of the long-term effects of the vaccine before she has it. And then there are those on the verge of suicide or who have attempted suicide because of the stress of workplace vaccine mandates. I've had constituents tell my office that they are seriously considering suicide, to the point where staff have had to refer people to Lifeline. I had a construction worker email my office from a hospital on a Sunday morning after he'd attempted to take his own life. The week prior he'd lost his job because of a vaccine mandate, and as a result his wife had left him and took the kids, and he told my staffer he had nothing left to live for. My office has been contacted by multiple local aviation firefighters that have raised concerns about the travelling public being placed at risk due to staff shortages because of impending vaccine mandates that have short-staffed airports of firefighters, including at my local airports of Mackay and Proserpine. I was also contacted by a Mackay psychologist who, despite having a blood clotting disorder, is unable to obtain a medical exemption. She wanted to continue working and support her clients of 30 years via telehealth, but some bureaucrat has decided she should be vaccinated in order to sit in her own study and treat people over a computer screen. And so now she's going to have to change careers after 30 years of service. I've also received emails from constituents who have had adverse reactions to vaccines. And yes, while they're rare, the fact is they happen. A young mum had heart palpitations and chest pains after the first dose of Pfizer and is now so scared to get the second, but she has to if she wants to keep her job. How is that not coercion? She has to choose between paying her mortgage and putting food on the table for her kids, or risking another adverse reaction which could be worse for her. These mandates are putting people under undue stress. These stories, these cries and these pleas for help are simply not being listened to, and we should be listening. Now, it is clearly state governments and private corporations that are, in the main, causing this harm. But it is Commonwealth data via the Australian Immunisation Register that is enabling that harm, as that data shows who's vaccinated or not. Now, state governments and private corporations might not be listening, but I'm not in state parliament, I'm not in a private corporation board, I'm in the federal parliament, and so I want the Australian government to listen by not allowing its data to be misused to cause such harm. And until we do, I'm no longer listening to the government whips on how I should vote in this place, but instead I'm voting with my own conscience on every bill. I'm not doing this to be difficult, I'm doing my job. I'm representing views of my constituents, serving the people, standing up for the vulnerable. And I call on all of us to listen. Listen to the pleas for help, the distress and the suffering. Vaccine mandates are unnecessary, they're cruel, and I fear they're causing a tear in the social fabric that will take many, many years to repair.